My name is Karen Harris, and I'm the supervising attorney for the Shriver Center's Asset Opportunity Unit. Basically, what our unit focuses on is different ways to approach poverty. Mostly, when people think about poverty, they're thinking about income poverty. Our focus is more on asset poverty because assets are the way that low-income families can move out of poverty permanently. Alternative credit reporting is using non-traditional data to bring people into the credit industry. Right now, most data that's reported are things like mortgages, student loans, car notes, those kinds of things. However, lower income families are less likely to own a home, own their car. So what the idea is that we should be able to report things like utilities, mobile phone bills, those kinds of non-traditional data in order to bring more low-income people into the credit industry. Right now, there's an estimate that anywhere between 30 to 70 million Americans either have no credit score or are what's called thin file, meaning that they don't have enough information in their file to actually generate a report. So the idea is basically that alternative credit could bring these individuals into the credit industry, which, as we know, having a credit score is extremely important for living today's life and having opportunities to build assets. Credit and access to credit has become increasingly more important in our society. Without a credit score, you can't obtain a mortgage, a credit card, loans for education or for any other purposes. So access to credit is one of the ways that an individual can enter the financial mainstream. Without credit scores, lower income people don't have access to those types of mainstream financial resources. Instead, what they have to rely on is payday lenders and what we call the fringe financial services or the shadow financial services industry. So that's everything from refund anticipation loans, payday lending, things like auto title loans, all of which are high-cost loans. So they're actually paying more for credit than if they were able to enter the mainstream credit. Well, one of the advantages would be able to bring individuals into the credit market to have them, allow them to access traditional streams of credit. However, one of the downsides could be that bringing individuals in, say, for example, by using utility payments, might actually create a negative score for them. The situation would be extremely difficult for low-income families. For example, if they had to choose between buying groceries and paying the utility bill, most individuals would need to choose to pay for groceries, especially given that there are low-income heating and energy assistance programs which will help them to pay the utility bills. So, in a sense, what we're asking people is, do you want to spend your resources on necessities such as food and housing, or are you more worried about your credit score and therefore will forgo those kinds of necessities? So really what we're advocating is that more research needs to be done on what the effect of the alternative scoring system would have. We know it would bring more individuals into the system, but simply bringing them in with a poor credit score really doesn't give them the opportunities that they need in order to actually access that credit. So we focus on assets because those are the building blocks for permanently moving families out of poverty. When we think about assets, we think about both personal and financial assets. Personal assets can be things like an education, a career. Financial assets revolve around everything from making sure when you get your tax refund that you're claiming all the credits, such as the earned income tax credit, that you're avoiding refund anticipation loans, also making sure that you avoid payday lending through the use of small alternative dollar loans. So we work on some of these issues, as well as issues affecting particular communities that may be more vulnerable. So integrating asset building into domestic violence advocacy, asset building in the disability community are some examples. We also are looking at ways to save throughout the course of a lifetime. So things like children's savings accounts, in which every child would be given an account at birth, seeded with an initial deposit, and then for lower income families there would be opportunity for matching. Similarly, individual development accounts are matching programs for adults. Finally, we are also working on things such as universal retirement accounts, in which a worker who does not have an employer-sponsored plan could set aside a part of their paycheck and directly deposit into an IRA type of account. So these are some examples of the things that we work on in our Asset Opportunity Unit.